Smart Flood Advanced Research, and Philipp Druzhinin, and its host and the author of the channel, the creator, so called. YouTube likes to call us creators because we create something, and we had recently a wave of hate towards YouTube because a bunch of channels are disappointed with the results of views and stuff like this. I was like that for a couple of years, but I guess it's just, takes some time to realize that it doesn't really matter how much views do you have, as long as you satisfied with what you do by yourself, right? If you have people who follow you and not leaving you for 3 years and more, I guess this shows that you're onto something. You're doing really something that is satisfying, right? But first of all, I want to talk about the current situation with the Iran, because a bunch of people like trying to talk about it. So that the tanker situation, so-called tanker explosions, two tanker explosions during the Prime Minister of Japan visit to Iran, and also the situation with the drone that was hit by the Iran yesterday or this morning. So it was in the news this morning. So this is like really what is we supposed to worry about, because Mr. Trump is probably gonna strike Iran as he did with Syria.
Mr. President, are you going to strike back? Mr. President, will you strike Iran, sir? Will you?
Yes, he says soon we will know.
We'll soon find out. Is that what you said?
Let's hear one more time.
Will you strike Iran, sir? Will you?
We'll soon find out. So we'll soon find out. But probably he's gonna do it. He's going to do it, and so we have like a couple of maybe months before he does it, or maybe even weeks, or maybe even days, because he's pretty unpredictable with what he did with Syria. This is the first picture, but he's probably gonna do it. He needs to do it, and he's gonna do it the way he did it in Syria. I mean, hit nothing, strike, and a bunch of pathos, a bunch of PR, and a bunch of fireworks. So this is how it's gonna be, but hit nothing situation. And probably the prices of oil are going to rise. This is what everybody wants. This is what US wants, because US is the first oil exporter in the world right now. It wants it. Russia wants it, and Saudis want it. And so this is what's really gonna happen, because the logic of this situation is to raise the prices of oil so they can stab this knife into the back of rising China and globalists. This is what they're gonna do. Nobody wants China to be first, but China is maybe a week or a month or a year, and it's gonna catch the US in economy raise, in economy volume, maybe 5 years or so, and it's gonna catch US with the weapons and the military power, because it already had 4 million people in army and a bunch of missiles, that enough missiles to reach any of US territory and totally damage it. So this is what the officials say. Well, I'm not buying most of the information. I have also my own analysis in each and every time, but what I think is that they're gonna strike Iran just to get to China and hurt China, because China is not signing the treaty for 25 years. and this is the so-called trade deal. It signs each and every 25 years. So although the presidents and the leaders of the country are mostly influenced by some other societies which are not really involved in government activities, but can command and give recommendations to those leaders. Some leaders have their own principality, their own habits, and their own madnesses, right? And you just can't do anything about it. It's just, maybe some childhood thing. Maybe the person likes to play, I don't know, video games, but he had no video games in his childhood. Or maybe he wants to be a social media star. And that's what we had with President Medvedev, who was right now a prime minister. He always liked to tweet and stuff like this. That's what I see in Trump. This is Twitter governance, is just a cover up for being actually not satisfied with yourself, with your result, because he promised a lot and probably did only half of what he promised. That's a good result in case of comparing him to the previous one, who stole like $6.5 trillion in Pentagon. This is what Democrats did, and raised the national debt also, right? But this is all the numbers, the statistics. The principle of my passage here is that they're gonna strike Iran. So whatever gonna happen after it, this is not gonna continue into or proceed into some large conflict. Probably just a single strike of something that is not really important, but with a bunch of fireworks and a bunch of crybabies and all this stuff like this. So, I mean, not real babies, but those who are gonna scream about it, like, I guess strike Iran. Oh, those war is gonna happen. No war is gonna happen. Nobody wants any war. They just want to rise. They want to scare the hell out of the stock markets and just gain extra profits for the next couple of years, because they're gonna be in power for like 6 years. So, and this is what I was trying to say the last time I talked about this stuff, and I was saying that we're gonna have 6 years of peace. So 5 years, we're gonna have like five and a half years of peace from now, because this is what's gonna happen. Okay, all this stuff, all this false flag situation with tankers, all this stuff with the drones is just to make Trump order to strike Iran, and he's gonna do it very soon, maybe even today. Who knows? Because he's a very strange guy. He meets with China's prime minister and strikes Syria at the same time, eating cake, is what he said. But the strike is, false. Everybody knows it, but it's like a PR situation. It's like when you like trying to fight a person, but you're not really hitting him. Just hitting his shadow. I don't know. This is what Iran is right now. He's hitting Iran's shadow, but Iran just Iran been told by Russia and China just to shut the fuck up, right? And they do it. They just they just don't do anything really strange right now. Although they can, because some Iranian people are really pissed off by the what Israel does and Saudis do, and US first of all, right? So whatever, let's just continue to actual thing that I want to talk about it. And I wanted to, it's just the map of one of the districts in Moscow. And this guy, the Duke Ivan Genrikov, with the last name doesn't sound very Russian, of course. They built this 3-story building in the style of classicism. So he was like a nephew of the Catherine I, the wife of Peter the Great. He was participating in Russian-Turkish wars in 1730s, and then he began to be he was a friend of Catherine I, the daughter of Peter the Great, not the lover, but the friend. In order, definitely in part of order, the old world order. In 1785, the House of Gendrikov let the one typography from the scientific society let him in his house. So they like established the typography. So they printed the books, and 6 years before that, this society was established by the Nikolai Novikov and Ivan Schwartz, very Russian last name, as you can see, was established, and they were Masons. So, and they established this typography to print the useful books, so-called useful books, and spread it, this humanistic literature, and prepare Russian teachers and interpreters. So the useful books were about the science or a moral development of the person in the Christian spirit. I will not go deeper into the story of Moscow Masons because there's a bunch of texts about it. Like this author made the text of Secret Masonic Street, Avant-Garde Masons and KGB. So he's like very interesting. So, but according to this typography, there was a book zone. I don't know how do you call it. Just stockpiles of stocks of book, and a bunch of them. There were Enlightenment Masonic literature, because but it was in a minority amongst all the books that were there, because to read it is just to solve some anagrams, but some Masons wanted people to read those books, and so they let them. After the Great French Revolution in 1789, the activity of Russian Masons was very suspicious, and government was suspecting them in creating those revolutionary situations, as their France did, right? In 1791, the typography company was closed, and this Novikov dude, who was the owner of this typography, was arrested, and he was in jail for 5 years in the Schleswig jail. It's right near the St. Petersburg. In 1798, after he went out, this mansion of Gendrikova was reconstructed to be the artillery troops barracks. We call it kazarmy, so the military troop houses where they live. And right near that district, there were the battery yard and the artillery school. So all those military campus, I would call it, had like 4 buildings. And some of those buildings are in great condition even in nowadays, but although they supposed to be damaged during the Great Fire of 1812, in 1828, one poet was there. He was there because of his crime. So it has like, also a jail there, a little jail for the troops, soldiers who were like, guilty in some crimes. So he was in those basements for a year, and then he went serving again in the troops. But he was writing a bunch of poems in while he was underground. But all his, poems are not very great. In fact, he's like not a Pushkin. But we can find some of those poems probably and, check if he were talking about some floods and stuff like this, because all those basements suspiciously mud flooded. In 1870, the right part of this figure was made a church or something. In the 1880s, on the territory of those campus, there were two WCs made of stones also. They like left, and they're like, architectural monuments right now. I don't know why. So this is the house in 18. This is a soldier campus in 1890s. This is the house of the main house, the mansion of Genrikova, 1909, 1901. So it's like the beginning of 20th century. This is the same house, as you can see. And it's the view in 1903. This is the view Marines here in 1904, 1913, and just during the World War One. This is how it looked in the war. 1930, during the war, after the war of World War One, but in 1935. This is a picture of 1886, 1986, 1998, and that's it. I want to walk there and check it out by myself, so I want to check out if we can, see maybe something is underneath it, because this is definitely a reconstructed building, as you can see. Very, very great facade here, but ugly entrance in the front. It's not an entrance, it's not an original entrance, so probably at least two floors here are buried. Okay, and they proved that they have a basement there where they had a jail for the soldiers, and this dude is definitely a high rank Mason, member of order, member of Russian-Turkish wars. That's why they were always like, watching from the side while people are dying. They just looking at them, those officers, those generals, those troop commanders. Not much of them were in the battles by themselves. This is more like sacrifice than a war, right? Okay, this is the guy I wanted to talk about. Maybe you know also something about something like this in your town. And you can also, check it out, find these libraries, and find those archives, find those people who were the owners, check them out if they were like Masons, because a bunch of them were Masons. A bunch of those people who were like, listed as the owners were Masons. The more we check it out in Moscow, the more we see the tracks of different Masonic orders, all these secret societies. So it's like not a conspiracy. It's like they don't even, hide it. They just, call it by the names. Right now you see them hiding, right? They're like, in the shadow and stuff like that. But back then they were never hiding. They were like advertising themselves and, putting people inside, letting people inside. A bunch of people lost their lives, their money, being there, serving them for wasting their lives just for those guys, to complete their plans. And they didn't get anything. They lost all this stuff, all their fortunes and their lives, and didn't get anything. Okay? Actually, this is what it is. So let's hope Trump will not do a big war this time. Let's hope he'll do what I said and just stop with this for now. Okay? So thanks a lot for watching, guys, and see you later. Bye, people.